Welcome to the third day of Goal Get It, where we are going to be talking about the no BS sales system, really showing you guys how you can start prescribing your offers, the things that you're selling, just like a doctor would to a patient. So we've done a lot in these past 2 days. The first day of Goal Get It, we just focused on setting goals, getting really clear, making sure that we had purposeful driven goals. And then yesterday, we talked about building that kind of value stacked funnel system, that revenue runway, where we really develop our systems in a process where we can create a nurture machine, make sure that people are getting a high quality message and building trust. But, like anything, there's the two pieces that we're still working towards. And today is one of those pieces that's going to be the sales side. If you're going to be doing a lot of work to, of course, attract people and to actually get them to be ready to sign up, we have to make sure that we have a lot of ways that we can get people to sign up, as well as that we can get them in a ready state. So when they come to you, you can just make a recommendation. So I got a question to start this off. Some people like sales, some people don't like sales. I'd love for you guys to drop in the chat. How do you feel about sales right now? Because I can tell you, I've had a very kind of love-hate relationship with sales. I had a lot of mentors in my past that told me, believe it or not, one of my mentors told me that I had to, in my consultations, I had to cut them down, slay them. I had to be the victor. And I genuinely believe that to a certain point, because I thought, hey, that's just what it was. I'm curious to see what we got here. Marie feels good. That's good. It's good to have a good relationship with sales. Anyone else? Would love to see kind of who else deals with sales. Does it feel good? Does it feel right? Julie's like, not sure. That's okay. That's okay. Sometimes sales gets people excited. Sometimes sales is scary, but sales isn't something that you should be afraid of. Just as when it comes to sales, I've only ever built organic sales pipelines. So yeah, I'm done with the uncertainty. I love it. I think that is so important. Organic is all on trust. And typically, as coaches and as people who are building businesses that have service based businesses, organic pipelines are the best way to do sales, 100%. That being said, there are a lot of people who get a lot of sales doing ads. So, you can do sales that way as well, too. So here's why I share that. My original Marie says I've done retail for 30 years, so familiar. 100%. Yes. So I shared these pictures on the first day, but in being a coach 8 years, I've had the opportunity to do sales in a bunch of different settings, selling one-on-one in home, just doing individual consults. We had the studio where we did group sales, where we would get anywhere from 250 to 300 applicants for a challenge. And so, of course, you don't have the time to sit down with 300 people in a month. So naturally, it was like, hey, let's get 15 to 20 people in a room and talk about their goals, what they're looking to achieve, and sign up. Of course, I've done online sales where we have clients reaching out and DMing us for coaching services. And there are a lot of different things and facets that come into sales. But I do got to share with you the absolute honesty. When I first started my business, I was the shittiest salesperson. It was embarrassing. I shared something yesterday, which is to this day still absolutely confounding. Is I was so bad at sales. I had a mentor and I went to him and he was like, what are your sales numbers? And I had 26 consults in a week and I did not have a single sale. And he was like, I don't even know if that's statistically possible. It was just the absolute worst thing. He was like, this is crazy. And because I had no sales training and because I did not have a good relationship or understanding of what sales was, my understanding of sales initially was it's just, hey, look, this is a transaction. I'm here to get money for the service that I provide. And so I did everything in an incredibly logical way, like I'm sure, a lot of people do at the beginning. Very first thing is I use scripts to convince people. I wasn't confident in the message. I wasn't confident in the way that I could have a conversation. And so I said to myself, I have to ask a specific set of questions, even if they don't apply to that person. And instead of having a conversation, it was more like, I'm here to railroad you to the decision that I'm going to make. And I'm sure you know how that really turned out. Didn't turn out too great. A second thing, sometimes in sales, because my coaching would appear, I got so in the moment and just wanted to help people that instead of actually serving them with here's the right program, I coached them. They got a free hour of coaching with me on a consultation. They got all the information they need, and then guess what? They would just leave, and then they would never join the program. And I was like, what the hell? But even when I was able to work through and get the right person and not coach and get them to the offer, I would find at the end of me talking to this person, I would get objections. I always got objections. I need to think about it. I'm not the right person. I don't know if this is the right time. I don't know if this is the right program. And so ultimately, I used to bomb my sales all the time. It's supposed to say 26 there, but this is actually the week where I had all of these consults, and I took a picture of it because my coach is like, you will actually remember this week. Because when you actually start to come from a place of care with your sales, it's supposed to say 26 there, but oh no, sorry, this is one of the other really, really bad weeks that was earlier where I had 20 consults and 2 signups. Like it was not great through this whole process. But I was having a particularly kind of bad stint, and there was a business colleague and a good friend of mine who had his physical facility across the street from mine, Foundation Chiropractic. We would talk about business all the time while he would, help me get adjusted. He always used to say I had crazy neck tension because guess what? I was stressed all the time trying to get people to sign up. And I was like, man, like I can't get a sale for the life of me. Like we're across the street, we're working with the same people. You're a health coach, I'm a health coach. I don't understand it. And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, how do you sell people? And he's like, I don't sell people. And immediately I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, I don't sell people. I just I show up, I ask them what they need, and I just make a recommendation because I'm just looking to help them. And that was so foreign to me. So I was like, hey, I got to buy you coffee. We got to talk more about this. And this is where I really, really got to understand what the real true definition of sales was. It was like, look, I had the mentors, I had the coaches just like you who were like, the only way to get sales is to follow a script, do this, so you can guarantee the same person every time. And I get that, but there's no humanness in that. This person, regardless of what your service is, regardless of what you guys are working towards right now, whether you're selling a membership, whether you're selling individual sessions, whether you're selling a program, there's a human on the other end of that product. And I forgot about the human. I was trying to hit a target, I was trying to hit a metric. And so that became the challenge. And he had shared with me what I'm going to share with you guys, which is the prescriptive way of how you can show up authentically 100%. So after he shared with me, like, listen, come from a place of care, have an organic conversation, get rid of the script. Things are going to be completely fundamental. It's going to be completely changed. So the first thing I did was I told my current mentor, I said, respectfully, love you. You're phenomenal. I'm not doing the scripts anymore. I ditched the scripts. And then when people were in front of me, instead of coming to the calls and the conversations with an objective, I just started questioning, why are you here? Why does it matter to you? Why is it important? And then I made the recommendation. And you know what? The recommendation was extraordinarily easy and it was actually very helpful because sometimes they weren't a good fit for the program that I was trying to funnel people in. Sometimes it was better for something else. And so when I got to make that recommendation, it was just like, hey, like, here it is. And then you know what? Over the span of 8 years, I have a 92% close rate now. And that was huge. And I shared this yesterday, but I was able to help over 4,400 people over the span of 8 years. When in the first year and a half of the studio, we had 76 clients in a year and a half. And then we went from 76 to 4,400. And I can tell you this process of sales, it has not changed for me, whether I talk to someone in person, I have an online offer, I do it in the DM, I do it as a consult. it actually doesn't matter because the process is the same over and over again. When you come from a place of service, you're confident about your message and you're speaking to the right people, you're asking the right questions, you can sell anyone anything. So here's my question for you guys. In your sales process, and sales does have a process, even if it's not something you're writing down step 1 through Z, where do you feel your hiccup is? Do you feel like it's clunky? Maybe like every time someone gets in front of you, the system is different each time. You're approaching the conversations different each time. Maybe, on the sales, you're doing a lot of coaching and not questioning. And what happens is people at the end, they're like, hey, thank you so much for this, and they take off. Maybe you can't close or you can't make the offer. Or maybe you're having people who are phenomenal clients. You have people existing in your audience, but you can't even get them to get on a sales call. I'm curious, drop in the chat, where would you guys say you are so I can get an understanding? Now, I say all these things, I had a problem with every single one. Couldn't get people to show up. It was different every time. Let me just coach. I was all over the damn app. And I love that. Or, oh yeah, by the way, if it's easier for you guys to unmute as well, you can unmute. Like that also works too. We're a family here. Jess says, in the calls, I know I'm coaching too much. Yes, yeah. When we have so much to give, what happens is we often tend to say, you know what, I want to share with you my value. I want to show you how much potential that you could possibly have. So when I say the price at the end, you're not like, oh goodness. You're like, oh no, I got some value up front out of this call. But in reality, and if you think about this, and this is what my chiropractor friend said, he said coaching without context or service without context can actually be dangerous. Imagine if I went to the chiropractor. He's like, I've never done an assessment on you before. I'm just going to snap your neck because I want you to get value from our conversation. That's so dangerous. It's wild. But for some reason, when it comes to service, we're like, I just really want to do that. I appreciate you sharing. That's huge. Anybody else would love to hear kind of where the challenge is. Or maybe
yeah, because this is kind of new to me, this whole helping field. I guess I wasn't approaching it as a sales. So just changing my mindset. That's all this is for me. Yeah, with all of this information I've got so far, and I'm going to learn the next 2 days, I just didn't think of it as sales before. So I'm changing that tonight.
I love that. And I appreciate you sharing that. People oftentimes don't have a problem with sales, but the word sales throws people for a loop because most professionals say, I would rather serve my client than sell them. And that's okay. But let's replace both the word sale and the word serve with the word invest. The client needs to be invested before they can change. We're actually just helping them invest. So truthfully, whether you call it selling or serving, if they leave your conversation, if they leave the DM, if they leave the room, and they are no further ahead, they have not committed to go any further, they actually don't get any help. So that not only does that not a sale, that's not serving, and they're leaving with no support. So my big thing is if someone is going to build up enough courage to sit in front of me, to have a conversation, to admit that they need help, to say that they want help, to listen to how I can help them, I better really make sure that they actually leave with help. Like that should probably be my only objective. And that's how we can come from a place of care. But I love it. Every single one of these is so important. And Jess says, amen, 100%. You'll never forget the Cairo analogy. Beautiful. I didn't either. He's such, I should probably actually have him on a dual call because he's phenomenal, not just in business, but like the way that he approaches how he serves people is crazy. But like, yeah, when you hear that, you're like, I would never just offer a free neck crack. That's crazy. So 100%. Yeah. And don't take one either. Don't take a free neck crack from anyone. That's another thing. So first place we start when it comes to selling is recognizing how we can actually offer our services in different ways or in better ways. Because in service, typically what happens is you may find yourself in two categories. You'll find yourself in category one, I'm not getting a lot of leads. So I'm getting kind of clients, slow, but there's not a lot of volume. Or you'll find yourself in the way of maybe you're getting people onto the call, but if for some reason they can't afford or the main offer is not right for them, there's nothing else that you can offer them. And then you're like, well, I guess this conversation was great. Hope you got some value. And you're like, I don't know. Hopefully you can figure something out or like save up for it. But there's actually a lot of different ways that we can have people invest in us. And there are other ways that people may want to invest that offer as enhancements. So I'm sure you guys recognize, and I shared a little bit of it yesterday, your main offer. A main offer, regardless of what you do, your service, how you coach, you do have to have a flagship offer that I would say 80 to 85% of your clientele can fit into the container too, because it helps with unity in your content. It helps with refining your message and who you're speaking to. And your main offer is basically going to be like your bread and butter that they would call. This is your flagship offer. The reason why we need a main offer is because all of these other things that we can offer people connect to your main offer. There's something that I will show you that's called offer laddering. If someone says no, no doesn't mean never. No just means not right now, not the right fit, not the right opportunity. So if they don't take the first thing, there are other things that we can do without completely reinventing a new program or a new service. But we have to have a main offer to start. These are the have-to-haves. Okay. Also, besides having a main offer, you have to have an upsell and a downsell. Upsells are for people who want to be able to tap into more of you or who want more exclusivity. So, for example, an upsell could be, hey, I know that our program only offers one call a week with me or one session a week, but actually, if you wanted to, you could step into VIP or do this and you get 2 calls or you get this. Upsell is for the highest level client. From yesterday, we talked about your highest level client is the person who buys like you. Let me share with you how I buy. When I buy, I want to be in the room and I want to participate in every way that I can. So if I know that there's a VIP service, if I know that there's a fast track, if I know that there's a way that I can get my result faster, I'm going to pay for that. This is like paying for premium fuel because I want the car to go faster. So guess what? You need an upsell. An upsell is very important. And the reason why we also have an upsell is because we want something to have what's called a price point pin. So, for example, if I showed up and I said, listen, my regular program, my regular sessions, however you want to bundle something, I'm just giving a random price point here, is $2,000. But I do have people who work with me one-on-one VIP that's 5,000. I've pinned that price point as this is how much value is here, but the main offer is significantly more affordable. What that does is any person who would have price shock, let's say they've never invested in a coach in you before, they're going to be like, oh, there's actually a more expensive thing, but the thing we're talking about today is this price. So for the people who are kind of price scary, they don't like to hear big numbers. Like I remember the first coach, and this is the way it always works. The first coach I hired was 4 months for $35,000. And from someone who had never hired a coach before to hiring a coach, I shit my pants. I was like, what? And I can tell you, there was no above thing. He was like, this is it. And I was like, because I didn't know what the price was going to be. And then he was like, but I do have a group container and the group container is $2,200 a month. That's way different than 35K. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So now I see, look, if I want this all in premium, high value, this, boom, he's anchored this. This really makes it seem like getting into his group where everyone is, where everyone jives, where everyone grows. It's really affordable. Now, I still went one-on-one anyways, because I was like, nah, no, I'm going to go to jump both feet. But he price anchored. And then he was like, oh, hey, by the way, you should price anchor. You should pin your price. And that's very important. So we need an upsell for that. Then we need a downsell. No matter how hard you try with your content to attract the highest level people, if someone has never worked or purchased a service like yours before, sometimes they do not know what it truly costs. And so what happens is you may find yourself in front of someone who loves you, wants to work with you, but either can't afford your program, your offering, or maybe there's a little bit of fear there and they're like, I want to get started. There's something preventing them, either financially or a trust wise, that they need to just get started. Here's the best part about a downsell. It's usually either a couple sessions in your block, the first couple weeks in the program, something to give them enough quick wins to either find a way financially or the trust. So the upsell or the downsell, Julie, no worries. I'll send you the recording. So beautiful. So we want to make sure that we find the trust piece and we also find them an opportunity. Because if someone trusts you enough to give a consultation time, to give a DM conversation, we should at least be able to have the opportunity to help them in some way, even if it's just to get them started on their journey. If we truly believe in no man or woman behind, well, guess what? We should actually leave them with some help. An upsell doesn't mean you create a new program. It means giving more of our time, more of our exclusivity. And a downsell doesn't mean creating a new offer. It just means we get them started. That's the bare minimum. Now, these four other ones that I'm going to be showing here, or sorry, three other ones, because laddering is keeping the people inside this loop. The first one is an ascension. If you work very hard to get a client into your world, there should be another way for them to continue working with you. Because guess what? People have new goals. When you help them with one challenge, another challenge develops. So this is where we have to say to ourselves, if I help my client with problem one, what is the next problem that's in their path? So, being a previous hormone coach, I can speak to the hormone side. If someone came and was like, look, I can't stop thinking about my digestive issues. I just want to get my hormones on track. After I fix that, maybe a second issue might be present, which is like, oh, you know what? I am actually trying to work on weight loss, or I'm trying to work on some other things. Cool. So now what we do is by having an ascension program, we can already start to tell people that this is just phase one of your journey. And that phase two, we're going to be working on other things. So then people know this isn't a one and done process. I'm committing to a transformation. You can do this whether you're doing individual sessions, whether you have a program, whether you have a course. We're always telling them that there is a next step, even if the next step is just providing accountability. Like, listen, you successfully completed this thing. What typically our clients do is in the second phase, we just stay connected. There's always a way that we can have an ascension through the process. So for clients who are committed, they can stay in our world. And now that leads to our next thing, which is an order bump. If someone is not in our world yet, a lot of you guys will do marketing. You'll promote free seminars, free masterclasses. Now, I gave you my order bump for free, and I'm going to tell you what it is, the goal setting worksheet. You guys signed up for the 4-day experience, and at the beginning, I said, hey, also make sure you get this sheet, and Jess, you register late, but I saw that, but I'm going to give you the sheet as well too. With it, it's like, hey, this is a part of the course. A lot of times, an order bump is something that would make your client's life easier or that would prep them to further succeed inside of your container, your program, or your service. So, for example, if someone's going to sign up for a live training, is there a PDF or maybe a previous training that they can watch that you can say, oh, hey, now I gave you mine for free, but I could have easily said, hey, you know what? I've actually put together a worksheet or a workbook for just $7. You can get this as well. Order bumps can be effectively additional trainings. It could be group access. It could be a small self-paced course that you can sell to get them invested. So when you're asking for the main offer, they've already spent money with you. Because here's how people invest. There's two types of investors. There's the lunatic. I'm the lunatic in a good way. The lunatic is someone who goes, I don't have to spend a bunch of money. If I see an offer I like, I'm in, and I don't care what the price is. I buy one time and I buy right. And that's it for me. I'm like, I'm going to buy the thing that's right for me. There's also the person who goes, I'm going to try a bunch of shit out from this person. I'm going to attend the $7 masterclass. I'm going to buy the $199 training. I'm going to buy the $6.99 webinar, and they're going to work more trust up, which means they're going to spend more money with you. It's not that they're wired differently or that your content spoke to them in a different way. It's just some people buy once and go all in, and other people buy over time and just want to continuously keep you around. So an order bump is a great way to do that. If they're going to sign up for a training, if they're going to sign up for something, offer maybe another tool, another item, another course that can help them benefit from the original thing. We tie it together. And the final thing is inside your main program, we should have add-ons. There's tons of different things, whether you're doing one-on-one coaching, individual sessions, you have a course, there is stuff that you are recommending to your clients that you should be able to benefit off of financially. Case in point, I missed, like, I can't tell you, because the supplement company only started 3 years after I was doing the health coaching. You know how many people I would refer to go pick up this at the store? And then they would go and get it. And I used my knowledge and my expertise. I made a recommendation and I did not benefit from it. So after seeing so many people recommend, I'm not saying go and create a new company to then help with this, but this could be something simple. Like, for an example, if you are doing individual sessions, you can have an add-on to have group access where you put all of your clients in a group, and for a low monthly fee, they can connect to other people who are working through stuff. Absolutely. Brownswell does it well, right? With a group. A group community is phenomenal as an add-on. Something like clothing, swag, different tools, other courses with price points exclusively for people who are in it. Because people who have already invested in themselves want to be invested more. Remember, the highest level client, they operate like you. I want to be invested more. But if there's no options to invest on a deeper level, then I guess I'm just going to stick with what I know, which is just I've already paid you and that's it. So having all of these offers, you benefit by laddering, which means regardless of whether someone says yes or no, they go through the system. And here's what I would say a complicated laddering is. It doesn't have to look complicated like this, but this is what I call money looping. And it's actually what I call the real client retention. You have a main offer, there's the opportunity to upsell. If someone says, yes, I'm going to commit to you, they can take into the initiative and commit to you at a higher level. When they join, it could be a week into the program, it could be 2 months into the program, whatever it is. They have the opportunity to buy other courses or buy other things from you in the form of an order bump. And ultimately, when they finish the initial service or product with you, they have the ability to ascend. But even if they don't go through that and they say, you know what, I can't afford the main offer right now, you offer them the downsell, and then you offer the main offer when it makes sense for them, when they have a high level of trust, and you can have an add-on, or you could do a self-paced course, another offer, and an add-on. This is what allows you to have a long-term client retention. As coaches, doesn't matter what you're coaching or what you're servicing people, coaches who don't have an offer ladder find that people will leave and they're spending time replacing clients. So this means a client joins me for a 4-month program. They finish the 4 months, then they leave, and now I have to find someone else. The average time that our clients spent in coming from our hormone coaching program and then going through Advantage Academy, the Advantage process, our accountability only program was 2.5 years. So imagine where your business would be if instead of trying to find people every 3 months or 4 months or 16 weeks, whatever the process is, imagine if people stayed in your world for 2.5 years. Now, I'll tell you something, don't make up problems, right? We're not like, oh, we're going to generate all these issues. No, we're just finding other ways to serve them because our clients do have other challenges that we can help with. And guess what? People who love you already, who have committed, want to stay in your world. You just have to give them the opportunity. What comes up for you guys when you see this? The aspect of having this offer, offering other ways. Is this things that you're doing already? Are there some of these that you're implementing? I'd love to hear what you're doing, or maybe from these ones, like maybe one of the ones that you haven't considered before. Feel free to either drop in the chat or unmute. Yeah, Marie?
I haven't even considered it, but not true. I've got videos online, audio recordings that they could do, not videos, audio recordings. Thank you, Jess, for that suggestion. Yes. But why not? Like you said the other night, they've always got more problems. Why don't I have like a maintenance program or something like that? So never considered it, but I am now. Thank you.
Awesome. Here's the interesting thing about having the additional offers is sometimes we think to ourselves like, wow, this is a lot of stuff I got to put together. Not true. Okay. For those of you who have been in my world for a hot minute, I do a live training every month. I've done a live training for 6 months in a row. That's how I created my backend programs. If I want to create a piece of coursework, create a self-paced program, create something that I can sell, here's the best way to do it. I, piece by piece, invite people to watch a piece of it for free. I build it for them. They gain value. If they see value in me, they may hire me. But then also, after I've done the 3 or 4 trainings or whatever, I have what I need to be able to build something. So I get to build value and build these things off at the same time. So it doesn't actually have to be a lot of work to do this, Marie, because yes, you already have existing videos 100%, but also, even if you didn't, all you have to do is say to yourself, like, look, an add-on could be one additional training. So what if you said, listen, I want to create something that attracts some fresh new leads. So I'm going to do a live training just like you're on right now. And I'm going to do it for free, or I'm going to do it for $7 or $30, whatever you want to do. I'm going to get 10 people on it or 5 people on it. I'm going to do it and record it. And then I'm going to put that recording. So when someone joins my program or when someone joins this, I'm going to say, hey, because you joined this, I really thought that this training would actually help you retain this information a lot more. Here it is for $35. And it becomes a no-brainer for people. And they go, you know what? Hey, yeah, I'll take it. Or if you, let's say, so in my case, I do a free training a month. And I started in August. And I've got, I think that's like 8 or 9 trainings so far, which is crazy. So now I can say, oh, you've bought this training? Well, maybe this training might interest you. And for someone who's invested in themselves, they might look at that and be like, oh, you know what? Yeah, actually, that would be something that's interesting. So it keeps the cycle going where they get to stay in your world. And that's exactly what we want. So we call it money looping, but really, ultimately, this is retention. This is basically how we retain existing clients. We give them opportunities to stay in our world, and new clients, we don't turn them away because we actually have options that we can give to them. And we're not just like, oh, can't afford the main one. Bye. See ya. Like, that's it. Now, if we're going to work to get people through this, it does start by getting them to say yes to something. Sorry, I actually got to say yes to something. Because if they say yes to, the original or even the downsell, whatever, they're in, right? I'm glad it's helpful to see the framework. So the first start is they have to say yes, whether it's yes to the main offer, the downsell, the upsell, the PITS course, they got to say yes to something. So this is where we learned the prescriptive method. So remember, the method doesn't matter whether you're doing consultations, doesn't matter if it's in an email, doesn't matter if it's in a DM conversation. The process is the same. I can't stress this enough. So we're going to start here. Every part of selling someone in a deep level or getting someone to sign up starts with a deep discovery. These are the only 3 types of questions that we ask in conversations. So instead of coaching, we're going to ask what questions, how questions, and why questions. By the way, the order of these doesn't matter because remember, it's just an organic conversation. So the what questions are simple. This, I call it just curiosity. The what is curiosity. What are your goals? What have you been working towards? What are your challenges? And what does success look like to you through this process? I'm trying to get, what are we here for? Like what are we here to accomplish? Now, as they share their goals, as they share what they're looking to accomplish with you, this is where we need to start asking how questions. How understands the level of seriousness for their problem. Because remember, it doesn't matter how much trust they have in you. If the problem is not serious, they're not going to buy, right? Like, example, I've been biting my nails since the dawn of time. This is, by the way, this is the only example I could think of when I was like, what am I going to do? That's not a serious problem. So I've been biting my nails since the dawn of time. I don't need fingernails. It's not that serious. Is it annoying? Yeah, great. It doesn't look good in pictures. Fully, no one looks at my hands. So even if I was mildly intrigued about having a program or a process to help me overcome this, truthfully, I probably wouldn't spend $1 on it because it's not that important to me. And so the discovery is supposed to understand, because especially with high value programs or high value services, if you're charging more than, Marie, I can help you with that. Beautiful. The nails, it's a big one. Absolutely. I've been shooting. I'm surprised that it hasn't been to the bed, but it is what it is. So the aspect of the how is understanding where they are in their journey of, is this going to be something that I can help them with, or are they not ready? And this will lead to the second piece of the prescriptive method. So how long has this been a challenge for you? How much time have you spent working on this? I do want to know how much effort you've put in, because the highest level client, they've already done some work. And then how do you feel about your progress towards this? I also am here to understand if they actually recognize that they are seeing results or not seeing results. Because sometimes people are like, you know what? Actually, I've been making great progress. Okay. What do you need me for? If you're making great progress, that's just truth. Trying to understand what that initial thing is. So then we go to the why. The why is the most important. And this is where most of us go into coaching instead of asking deeper questions. Once they're like, how long has this been a challenge? How much time have you been spent working? You're like, cool, I think it's great you did this. I'd recommend you did this. You immediately jump to this. We skip the why. Why is this important to you? I need to know. Why does this matter? Because sometimes something can be important, but really if it's trivial, guess what? It's probably not going to go far. And then why now? Because especially for people who have hesitated in the past, who have said to themselves, I need to think about it way too many times than they'll ever tell you. You got to know why now. And guess what? The highest level people are going to say, why not now? Like, I'm all in. I'm here to do this 110%. Here's the big thing. So the deep discovery allows us to be able to build the emotional buy-in for somebody. It doesn't matter what your service or offer is. There is a logical buy-in, a financial buy-in, and an emotional buy-in. The financial buy-in they do at the end, that's when they actually pay money and they're sold. They're sold on the experience, they're sold on you. The logical buy-in, that's what got them to the call. They saw your content, they saw how you operated, they attended a training, and so they know that you're credible. They're logically bought in. It's time for them to be emotionally bought in. So the discovery helps us understand where they are on their emotional guidance scale. Then you need to do one of the hardest things for a service provider and a coach. You need to qualify and disqualify. When I have a conversation, I'm looking for people who are not a good fit, for people who I know are not going to succeed through my process. I'm looking for the people who, you know what, they said all the right things, but they're not ready yet. So I can tell them they're not ready. Because in reality, when we get to the end of this conversation, when we get to the end of this, I'm about to tell you what's in the program, I need to make damn certain you're the right fit. So here's how we qualify. We ask them questions like, you ever worked with a coach before? You ever hired any professionals to help with this? And then are you open to actually looking at some options to help support you? The third one is more if you're having a DM conversation or like a private message conversation, because obviously if they're on the console, hopefully they're open. But we ask the questions because we want to see their level of, I'm ready for this. I'm trying things. I'm doing things. I'm working towards this. And if they haven't, if the answer is no to have you ever worked with a coach before, you should say, why not? Now I'm looking to disqualify you because your answer is going to dictate completely whether or not we proceed. And every conversation, it's not about we have an hour on a console, so I have to take an hour with you. Sometimes my conversations with coaches are like 20 minutes. They say the right things, they get the information they need, and they make the decision. It's not hard. So if they say, I've never worked with anyone before, why not? If they say, well, truthfully, it hasn't been a priority up until now, that's red flag number one. Okay, cool. My next question becomes, why is it a priority now? Or maybe they're going to say something like, why not? Well, truthfully, I didn't know who to hire. I'm like, okay, you know what? You answered the question and that's acceptable. The second one, have you hired any other professionals with this or have you done anything to work towards this? Their answer should be yes. If not, is there a reason why you haven't started anything yet? I need to know because that's going to be a potential objection or that's going to be the disconnect between us or me working with you through this process. So for example, if you're afraid and I have to convince you, that means when you sign up with me, I'm going to have to convince you every step of the way. And that won't work for me. Probably doesn't work for you guys as coaches and business owners either. And then like, are you open to looking at options? Sometimes people are like, hey, listen, like I'm here for coaching. I'm just looking to kind of see what this is. And I'm like, really? That's like, what made you want to hop on this call today? Because look, you can learn from tons of other people. Are you here to get support or not? And the goal is for us to qualify. At the first 15 to 20 minutes of your conversation with anyone, you should have a clear understanding of their what, how, and why, and you should know if they're a good fit or not. And guess what? I do still to this day. If someone is not ready, I'm not like you've been disqualified, rejected, boom, put a huge stamp on them. I don't do that. But I say, look, I appreciate you hopping on the call. I'm actually going to send you some trainings to get started because with where you are right now, you're not actually going to see the best results from the program. And I'll never have you sign up for something that you're not going to get the best results with. That's respectful to them. They're like, I really value that. And also, it's going to save you from taking on a client that's not in alignment with you. Or another thing, we're getting to the end of the sale and saying no, which is another aspect too. So the qualification, common question I get from a lot of the coaches inside our coach to coach program is, how do I know when to ask a question or when not to ask a question? Because I just shared with you a lot of questions. The key is about context. When I'm looking to qualify someone, I'm looking to see if the answer is positive, AKA they're trying, or negative, they're not doing the work. If it's positive, if they say, hey, look, you know what, truthfully, like if I'm like, what's preventing you from seeing this? And they're like, look, it's me. Like, I'm just lazy. I'm like, Why would you say you're lazy? Well, like, I don't know. Like, I just need the motivation, but that's why I'm here. I'm here to get help and support from you. They've said a positive answer. Anyone who says a positive answer, simple. Two things. Look, we got to validate their response. We got to make them okay with being vulnerable because our process is vulnerable. So I appreciate you sharing whatever it is you shared. I love that you shared that. Cool. And then we continue with our questions. Truthfully, I don't go through all of those questions. I ask the questions based off of their context. If their answers are positive and it shows that they do the work, I ask less questions because I'm not getting red flags. If I get negative answers, have you hired anyone to help you with this? No. Okay, you said this problem has existed for 15 years. My question is, why not? I don't know. I'm like, well, okay, red flag number one, I got to ask you another question now to see whether or not this is a good fit. So positive means they're coachable. And then this is where we're then going to go and say, here's where the next steps are. You see, I don't start talking about my program. I don't start talking about my offer. I don't start offering my service until I know that they are coachable or that they are the right person. If they are not, I share exactly what I shared with you guys before. I disqualify them and I just send them more education because I do want to work with them. It's just not right now. And you know what? Tons of people who have come back to me who said, I really appreciate you sharing that stuff because I wasn't ready. I don't know if I would have committed that. Tons of people would have told me that. They value the fact that I have helped them make a decision. Because remember, at the end of this, it's a commitment that we're asking for. So now's the hardest part. Some people, we're going to present the offer. This is also where sometimes we start to coach or we start to talk about stuff. Most of the time, when we present an offer, we present our service, we either just go straight into selling or we focus on all the tools they're going to get. You're going to get one call with me a week and we're going to pop you into a group chat and you're going to get all these things or it's going to be 16 weeks long. And then we ask them a really crazy question. Do you have questions or how do you feel? Here's why I don't like to ask those questions. It's not that that's bad. Let's say you're speaking to your highest level client. Your highest level client will have questions. They know in their heart if it's them, if it's for them or not. And the highest level client will feel good about it. When you say, do you have questions? And they don't have questions, it makes them second guess and say, should I have questions? And then they're going to generate stuff to ask you. The second one, how do you feel about this? Makes them question how they're feeling. Because remember, we're two human beings have a conversation. I'm reading your energy. So if I tell you something and then at the end I'm like, so how do you feel about this? Like, I don't know, how do I feel about this? It makes them question what they think. So when we're talking about the offer, here's what we're going to do. Number one, we always ask after we've asked our questions, we say, hey, I really appreciate you sharing this with me. Mind if I share how I'm actually going to help you with this? Or how about I go into how I can help you with this? We need this permission because it's a conversation to transition from this was all about me learning about you to now I'm going to take the floor and I'm going to show you how we can get there. If you don't ask for the transition, it feels like a sales pitch, like I've been waiting this entire time to just tell you my offer. And guess what? Anyone who wants to hear how you can help them, because at this point they're emotionally connected, they're going to tell you yes. And this is where your only job in any service, offer, program, session, doesn't matter. Your only job is to share with them the journey. I'm not going to share with them the tools. I'm not going to share with them your calls are going to be 30 minutes and this is how much we're getting with them. It's too much information. It overloads them. Here's what you do. You share what's involved in the transformation. So it could be something as simple as this. During the process of over our 12 sessions, you and I are going to be working one-on-one, and we're going to hit these three main areas because we have to allow them to paint a picture in their mind of what it's going to be like to work with you. And then you're going to share with them where you're going to start with them first. What's the first step? Because you don't need to see the whole path. The whole path, truthfully, when I would coach people on hormones, the whole path looks horrible. It's so overwhelming. There's so much stuff. 16 weeks, they got to overhaul their food, change their nutrition, change their sleep. They got to change their habits. And oh, yeah, by the way, they got to change their mindset. And I'm like, that's wild. And to anyone who's new to your process is going to be like, well, that's overwhelming. So through the process, we're going to work on X, Y, and Z with you so you can hit this goal, feel great, feel embodied, feel whatever your end result is. And the first place that we're going to start is this, because for you, this is where I see your biggest boulder is. And then we're going to share with them how they're going to feel through the process. During this process, I'm going to make sure that you get the support. I'm here to guide you every step of the way. We're going to make sure that you feel secure, whatever that feeling is that they're looking for. And if they've already explained to you the what and the how, you can just use their verbiage. And then once you share with them, you need them again to double down on whether or not they're a good fit. Because I can't say, congratulations, you're a great fit. Here's the price, boom. And then they're like, well, I don't know. We do need to get some feedback. So here's what I love to say. So that's what's involved in your program. Can you envision this helping you? The answer is yes. If it's no, I'm not going to go any further. I got to figure out why, because maybe this offer is not for them. Maybe it's not a good fit, or maybe I wasn't talking about the right things. I didn't ask the right questions, whatever it is. So can you envision it helping you? Yeah, of course I can. Yeah, I think it can help me in X, Y, and Z. Beautiful. Let me ask you something. We don't work with everybody. Why do you think you'll be a good fit for this? This is allowing your highest level client to step up to the plate. People who are ready are going to tell you why they're ready. I think I'm a good fit to work with you because I'm dedicated. I show up on time. I go all in on myself. I'm 100% invested. It's easy. Like when I ask the coaches, like it's easy because I know they're all in. They're like, look, I'm dedicated. I'm this. I'm working to build my business. I'm all in. Beautiful. Because sometimes people need to not just paint a picture of what the journey's going to be like, but they've got to paint the picture of the person that they are already going to be and know that they're already that person. And this is where you say, amazing, awesome. Okay. I love it. How about we talk about what the payment options are and we get you rolling? Sound good? Perfect. Same thing with the permission. At this point, it's just which one works best for you. You want to do paid in full? You want to do a payment plan? Do you want to do 16 weeks? You want to do 24 weeks? You want to do 8 sessions? You want to do 2 sessions? Which one works best for you? Because once they've decided, they have already become your client. Perfect. Let's get you started. Let's set you up. Let's send over an agreement and you're good. Notice how through the process, I don't ask, what do you think? Or the wildest question. I had someone ask me, so are you ready? I'm like, oh man, are you ready? I'm like, ooh, I don't know. Am I ready? There's no second guessing at this point. We've made it all the way to the end. Which one works best for you? And here's the beauty. Let's say an option does not work there. The price, the thing, they're going to say, you know what? I don't know. The price is really high or like the payment plans doesn't work. Do you have something weekly? Do you have something bi-weekly? This is where then you can work with that. If you do this from a prescriptive method, you get to prescribe. And you do it by, it's really easy. Hey, why are you here? What are you looking for? How long has it been a struggle? Why do you want this? Cool. You serious? Yeah, beautiful. You're really positive. Here's how I help you. Okay, cool. You believe it'll help you? Yeah. Can you see yourself doing this? Cool. Amazing. So based off of what you're looking for, I recommend this. Which one works best for you? Amazing. Let's get you through the process to get started. High five. Be excited. Of course, I'm just talking about it like steps, but this is it. This is the process. Now, if you've done it wrong, you get to deal with what I call the bonus round. And this is my favorite dog. There's a dog on TikTok, by the way, that like dresses up in crazy outfits and has got a little meme here. If at the end you, in some point, did not address these right, this is where you're going to get objections. Objections is the bonus round. Truthfully, it means somewhere along your process, you lost them. And I shared on yesterday's training and the training before the whole aspect of connection, love, and trust. Somewhere along the line, they either weren't connected, they didn't build enough trust in you, or they don't love your program. They don't love it. They don't see it as the solution. So they're scared of committing. And so your objections for each will look like this. If they don't have a connection to you or the program, they're going to say, oh, I think I'll still continue doing this on my own. They'll say something like, you know what? I wasn't really looking to spend that much, or I can't afford it right now. Because truthfully, there's no such thing as I can't afford it, because I invest in things regardless of whether or not I have the money. I always find a way. And people who want something will always find a way. Or the crazy part, they're going to say, you know what? I actually can't decide on my own. When that's not true, people make decisions on their own every day. They're like, I got to get back to you with this, which is basically just, I would like to end this conversation because it's not for me. They're not connected. If they don't trust you, they're going to say the best one ever. I need to think about it. I need to think on it. Like they're going to go home and sit in a rocking chair, pondering the existence. I've never had anyone go home and legitimately think about anything. Of all the consults I bombed, it's the same thing. Or they'll be honest with you. Look, you know what? Like you seem great and all the program seems good. I'm not sure if this is for me. And then no second one. I guess that was just an autofill in. And then from the scared piece with the fear. So if they go through the process and they have the connection and they do have the trust in you, but there's something about the way you've talked about the program, maybe you focused on all the things or you made it really intimidating by talking on all the steps, you're going to get someone's genuine fear. And they're going to be like, look, like, you know, I want to do this. Like, I don't know, like I failed tons of times before. Like, what if I fail? Or what if I don't see any results through this? Like your program looks like it's got a lot of moving pieces and a lot of opportunity where I can screw up. So like, what if I botch this whole thing? And that leads to what if I make a stupid mistake? Like I've committed to processes like this before. What if I jump in with both feet and then I'm like, oh, you know what? This sucks. So you lost them. For those of you on the call, what do you think solves all of these issues? Where do you think we need to work on? And I'll give you a hint. It actually has nothing to do with the prescriptive process. Where do you think fixes all of this? Just as like, I don't know. I saw the word. I'm getting so good at lip reading. Emery?
I would say, what if you didn't? What if you succeeded? What if you reached your goal? How would you feel? That's what I would say.
So right there, you're focusing on the end transformation. And remember how yesterday, Marie, you were on yesterday, but just you'll see the recording. And those of you who are watching the recording as well, talked on the last training that you got to show them the transformation. You got to show them how you operate. And you got to show them the process looks like through that. And where do you do that? In your content. 100%, Marie, you are absolutely right. The losing them starts way at the beginning with your content. If someone ends the conversation and they aren't connected, I spend the next month talking about content or building content on showing them the path of the transformation and showing them the results of my clients. If someone leaves the call or doesn't continue and there's a level of trust, I spend more time showing them how I operate, how I buy, how I invest, and how my clients operate as well too, because my clients have enough trust in me where they don't have to understand the process, they just move. And if someone leaves out of fear, which is legitimate, I spend more time showing them the transformation. Look, there are people just like you who are scared shitless, but even though they were scared shitless, they made the decision, they took action because they were all in on their goals and they transformed. These three things get fixed with content. What's coming up for you guys? What are we hearing for this? Are there any aha moments that you guys are seeing through this?
I can just unmute and tell you.
Yeah, absolutely.
A suite of offerings that haven't been super public yet, beta testing place, but for maybe too long. So I got a lot of clarity around how they fit together. And, if this is the client I want to connect the main offer to, all those other offers, which we have most of, I just didn't view them that way. Now I can see I can just prescribe whatever a person needs, and there's something for them here. For sure there is. The only thing I would say is a gap for me right now in terms of the offers is the order bumps. I don't have anything for that I can think of, but everything else is there. Everything's there. It's just setting it up the right way.
Love that. The order bumps could be the community. If they're not a part of that, creating one, depending on the types of offers that you're doing. An order bump doesn't have to be, remember, we don't have to reinvent the wheel with these things. Everything that I do now is the same. We all have access to the same tools, right? You either get more time with Jess, some type of exclusive group, more tools, previous tools, other trainings. So yeah, and I saw the aha moment. Beautiful. So there's all the same thing that extends in. But I love that. I love that you saw that as the kind of connection. That's great. That's phenomenal. Now, I will say something. So Marie says a ditto, which is good. Excellent. You said something that I want to touch on. And the aspect of they're not public yet. Sometimes people will say, I used to believe, let me rephrase it like this. I used to believe that before I made an offer public, I had to go in the background, kind of lurk, figure out all the kinks myself, do all this stuff. And then I launched this perfect program. None of my programs were perfect, Jess. None of them. As a matter of fact, they grew with every single client. Don't hide away the programs or the offers. Instead, put them out there, but set the expectation. Guys, every month I'm going to be asking for feedback because I want to know what you need. Right now, there's this much in the program, but it's growing to here. And so this becomes a fluid machine. That being said, with this growing, there might be things that we take away. There might be stuff that we change. There might be things that we add. But all of it is moving towards your success. Because I'll tell you something, the Vantage program, which was, I had two original programs, my hormone reboot and my Vantage program. My hormone reboot was never the hormone reboot. It was the gut reset. Then it became the hormone reset. Then it became the hormone reboot. And it went through, I think it was 6 or 7 iterations before it became the thing that I was like, you know what? This is so polished that even the feedback I'm getting is like, we don't need anything else. And I'm like, cool. All right. I know I'm in a good spot when I don't need anything else. But don't be afraid. Sometimes we want this, I can't reveal this to the world unless it's a perfect product. Nothing's a perfect product. I buy things at Canadian Tire that guarantee stuff all the time. The thing's broken. And I'm like, you know what I mean? I have this guard, the guard that goes between the stove and the countertop. There's supposed to be this little plastic piece that sits that prevents debris from coming. Debris always goes in. And it's tried on 1,000 kitchens. I was like, not 1,001 because there's debris here in my kitchen. That's just the thing. But yeah, 100%. So yeah, don't be worried about putting the offers and testing it and out in the public. The public is your testing ground. Because guess what? Clients want to know that you're growing. Clients want to know that they're getting more stuff and they want to grow with you. So that's great. Anything takeaways in terms of the descriptive process or any questions on the descriptive process? No, just clear. Emery?
Andrew, you have helped so much. You've thrown things out at me that some I haven't considered, a lot I hadn't considered, because obviously social media, I'm a little on the older side, we'll say, a little more vintage than some of you. And I think I do a really rocking job with it, but this is freaking awesome. And you've just given me so retro. I like retro. You've given me so much to think about, so much to not really think about, so much to go ahead and do. And this is awesome. I really, really, really appreciate it. And just as he's talking, I can see so much that you could implement as well, and things that you're doing. And yeah, this is just way cool. You rock.
I appreciate that. And that's really amazing to hear. And I think to attract new clients and to attract high level clients, all you have to do, like technically, like if you guys want to coach, this is where you can coach and give people stuff. We don't have to do it in the sales process. We don't have to do it if I want to genuinely give something away for free, and sure, you can have call to actions, offers on it or whatever, right? But if I want to genuinely like, hey, look, I want to coach, start at the beginning of this week. And normally we have all of our clients inside of coach to coach cycles and stuff. And I was like, why just them? I'm just going to put it out there. I'm going to have other people do it. Because if I want to coach, I'll coach. And it's the easiest way to do it for me. And this, I can tell you, I can promise you, every single person on the call and all of you guys watching the recording, you are already good on this, good with this type of stuff, because coaching is our skill. Like I started just being a good coach. I was a crappy marketer, crappy salesperson, made a lot of mistakes. But the one thing that I never got wrong is I know how to coach people. And so if we want to do this and provide a lot of value, we can just do, we can step in, we can coach. So I would encourage you guys to do things like this and processes like this, because it really does help people learn more about you. It helps build the trust, and it helps show them what this, being in your world looks like through the process. So yeah, good. I'm glad you guys are getting value. So make sure we start using more of the prescriptive method in here. So that's a big thing. And before we kind of head off on the call, or even just open up to general questions, because I love, for you guys to answer additional things or ask additional questions. I spoke yesterday about this, that I was going to share this on this call, because this all hinges, like in reality, we talked about the nurture system. We talked about no BS sales, being able to just service-based sell. But here's the thing. We need leads. We need leads. We need people to come in. We need the right people to come in. And so this really comes down to high level content. We're going to be spending tomorrow talking about client converting content, but I want to share with you where client converting content came from. I spent a lot of time with both my clients inside of Coach to Coach, and with my 3 businesses, trying to speak to the right people, or instead of trying to find and hunt people, these people came to me. And I kept saying to myself all the time, I just wish that I could write a piece of content and have a client convert from it. Have them literally say, I'm in because I bought into the message. And it's actually a fundamental program that I put in. It's one of the 4 pillars I put inside of our Coach to Coach program, but I'm choosing to actually run it as a standalone offer on January 30th. So I'll show you guys how you can get access to that and how you can get in. But the big thing with high level content is ultimately it's about speaking to people who are ready. I feel like a lot of times when we're looking to people for offers, we're trying to convince people why they need our product, because we know our product can help so much and change their life, that we're like, please, just let me work with you and I can change your freaking life. When instead we talk to the people who are doing the work. And then we talk to those people and we create content that teaches them how to operate in our world. Here's how to work with me. Here's how to buy. Here's how I can transform your life. High level content shows people how to buy from you, but ultimately it helps them build high level trust. I have coaches who reach out and say, I've been watching your reels for a week, and like I either have to unfollow you or I got to make a decision. Like I got to stuff. And that's good. That's what you want, because ultimately high level content creates a tribe atmosphere. And here's the thing, most, coaches I come across are like, oh, but you need like this really big following in order to get more leads, stuff like that. You go on my accounts right now, I got 600 people. How do I build such a big business with 600 followers? You don't need 100,000 followers or 1 million views. You need 100 of the right people. Because if 50 people bought tomorrow from your 100-person audience, 50 clients would triple your income. And it would, like 50 clients, like some people don't even work with 50 clients for an entire year. It's fundamentally different. So I built the program Client Converting Content to create ascension content, because it is our responsibility as leaders in the business that we have to teach people how to be the best version to make them ready for our program. We don't hope and pray that one day they'll be ready. No, just like coaches, we make people ready. Inside of our content, we have to teach them how they can be ready. And so with this, client converting content as an 8-week program goes through a couple of things. It goes through the different content types. And I'll be sharing some of this tomorrow. I've actually decided, because the program does have a 9th week in it, but I'm basically going to be doing the training for that tomorrow. So you guys are literally going to get the different content types, the places to put content, and the messaging. Like, it's a big thing alongside everything else, but different content types attract different people. So it's important to understand what your highest level client is using. And then there's also different places to put content. Just like I talked about yesterday, you could have the best message in the world, but if you're putting it in a spot where your client can't see it or won't watch it, then you're not going to attract people. And then also there's different messaging levels. Some of you guys who are registered to this are inside of our Coach to Coach program. Some of you guys have attended trainings before. I talk about different messaging levels, talking to people who are solution aware, who are situation aware, and who are problem aware. If I talk to problem aware people, I'm talking to victims. Take a long time to convert because they got to see that they have a problem, see that they have this, versus, people who are solution aware, who they are all freaking in. They're like, listen, I know I have a problem. I know it's a situation. I am invested and I want the solution. And we need to create content that talks to all three so we can continue a cycle and have these people come into our world. And then inside of client converting content, we actually are going to be actively practicing creating content. So a large part of the program is we're hopping on calls, we're creating content, we're going over content so I can make sure that your message is actually in full alignment with people. Now, with this, I'm deciding to do something a little special. We're starting on January 30th. For all of the people who choose to commit to client converting content as a program, I'm also doing a profile power up with you. So this is going to be a one-on-one call where I go through and help you review all of your socials. So you've actually got the actionables with that. And we supercharge your present with that high impact. So this is exclusive recommendations giving you, here's where you need to change. Here's the stuff you need to be putting in. Here's where you might be missing the mark. So I'm going to drop the link in the chat for that. So that way you can learn more information on it. But ultimately, if I can even get the freaking link, it's always the link that's just broken, busted. By the way, this is just, if you're going to do seminars, trainings, just expect nothing to work with. But things actually work. That's just the way it is. But cool. So I dropped the link in the chat there. So that's the client converting content. If you want to learn more information on it. So the enrollment is going to be available all the way up until Sunday. So if you guys take action on that and you commit to client converting content, then basically you're going to get that one-on-one call where we're going to be able to go through everything, as well as work with me for 8 weeks on getting the content really, really fire. But like I said, tomorrow, you're going to get one of the most important pieces of that. And that's literally a part of this process. Because again, I can't be like, here's how to sell, but then I don't show you where to put your content. That's ludicrous. So tomorrow is all focusing on content based. You're going to get tons of content questions answered. You're going to get feedback on what's working, what's not, and where to put your stuff. So I know we went over because I go over on these things all the time. But if you guys have questions, what are we hearing? What are your questions? How can I help? Let's talk service. Let's talk sales. Let's do it. What do we got? What's going on? Yes, Jess.
I was going to say, go, Marie. I feel like she was reaching for the unmute.
No, but I just did now. I got nothing. No, I am on the brink of overwhelm. So this is good. I'm good.
One of the things that I will say is, like, when I'm coaching, I'm guilty of this, but I do it for a reason. It's people will call it like information from a fire hose. Like, sometimes it's beneficial to show people the first step, but sometimes people, when they go, well, this is the first step, I can't see how this ends. I say to myself, well, I can give you the first step, but I do need to show you where it ends. But that can sometimes feel almost overwhelming because you're like when I look at all of the process, I got a lot of shit I got to work on. And I don't intend that because I can tell you something as successful business owners, guess what? You've been in business, you've worked with people, you've sold your product, you have a lot of these systems in place. We don't need to man, I gotta break everything down to the base and then do it again. It's literally working on what is the next piece. But where sometimes I've seen a lot of business coaches, it's kind of unfortunate they do this. They're like, here's only one piece of the puzzle, and to get the rest of the piece you must join my thing. And I'm like, that's really dumb, because truthfully, you share with them what they need, and if they get enough information but they're like, you know what, I really want to work in this individual thing, they're going to reach out to you anyways. Truthfully, that's just the way people work. So I feel like some people gatekeep. I don't like gatekeeping. So instead, I just fire hose everybody. My door opens and then everything's information's everywhere. They're like, yeah. So hopefully, I want you guys to know, through the span of this week, if you guys have questions on this, if you're like something popped up afterwards, shoot me a message. You've got me on Instagram, you've got me on Think, or even just email me, whatever's easier. And I'm here to answer the questions because I want to make sure you're comfortable with the process. But I'll say, same thing I say to everyone, you focus on the biggest rock. And in my mind, the biggest rock goes like this: attraction of leads, right? Everything gets fixed with more leads, truthfully. Even if I'm a crappy salesperson, if I suck more, but I do more calls, I make more money. And I help more people, right? So it's leads. If leads is not an issue, then the next thing is nurture. So let's say I'm getting leads, but I'm not making things. The next thing is nurture. I need to build trust faster so I can get these people to make connection. If your nurture is good, then the problem is probably sales, where somewhere along the line, the way you're presenting the offer, or the way you're approaching them in those conversations isn't working. And after sales, when you have a client, but clients don't stay long, your problem will be retention, in which you're going to say to yourself, how can I get these people to stay in my world more? Because they deserve to be in my world longer. And then the final piece is going to be the system. How can I make this better? How do I get more leads? How do we get more sales? How do I get people to stay longer? And so you develop a system. But yeah, I would just say, from these and even from the content day we're going to do tomorrow, take the one thing, okay, this is my pronounced challenge, double down on that. You'll see better results than trying to, do all four of these things, hoping it'll line up. Hopefully that helps.
I definitely see, Andrew, and I know I think Marie will resonate with this. For those of us in service, you see so many people that their lives would just change tremendously if they worked with you. And I think I'm definitely guilty of trying to convince people who are victims and in that state of mind to see what they're missing and want it as much as I want it for them. And I know with the things Marie helps people with, you probably see that all the time. You're like, oh, you're struggling. You're struggling so much. I can help you with this, but they actually want to struggle. So I think, Andrew, what you've just the light bulb that I've heard a million times, but it really landed somehow, the way you worded it was just not to speak to those people in the marketing. If they want to come in and have a chat with me, I will always do that and I'll be encouraging. That won't go away. But the marketing doesn't have to be directed at them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where I was too. And that's all changing tomorrow.
Amen.
I love it. There we go. Here's the interesting thing about marketing is with our offers, we tend to know explicitly the struggle. So it's easy for us to talk about the struggle. But if you talk about struggle all the time, you get more struggled people. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Remember, people are going to go from I'm struggling to, oh, I know you can help, to I'm going to do that. But that process is long. So instead, why don't we I'm going to speak to the person who's ready now. If someone comes to me and they're maybe not quite ready, cool, we can figure out a way to do it. But if I only speak, talk to, showcase, and align with the person who's ready now, I'm going to get more ready now people. And this is where what you'll find is the people who appear to your offers, the people who appear in front of you to work with you, they start looking eerily similar. Like when I was health coaching, it was crazy because like I would make jokes like, "Ha, you probably have 2 kids." She's like, "I do have 2 kids," and I'm like, "Why?" Because that was just a thing. Like everyone I worked with had 2 children. Or like, especially because the hormone side, when I was doing the hormone coaching, like there was a lot of women. I was like, they would come in and I was like, just as a lighthearted joke. So what is it? Digestive issues, hot and cold flashes, or you feel like you're irritable all the time? They were like, all three. And I was like, because when you see and you speak to the same person over and over again, you get really similar people in front of you. And then that's when it's like, I know explicitly what your problem is. So we actually don't need to talk about that. We can just talk about how I'm going to help. And that's the benefit too. It shortens your sales time. I don't have to figure out what you're doing and then try to be like, wow, like what is all that? Like the conversations are similar every time. And I know some of us on the call, like Marie, you can help people with a lot of different issues. That doesn't mean that like we have to pigeonhole ourselves with that. Only do this. I only help people like become smoke free, like that never touch a cigarette a day in their life. The actual struggle is the same through all of those issues, right? Like, for example, the coaches I work with, 3 fundamental problems. They're trying to attract the highest quality client because they either have no leads or their leads aren't good. They're trying to make sure that when they're showing up, people are actually committing to the program, so they're not great at sales, or their system's more in their head than it is actually repeatable. Those are the only problems I see. Doesn't matter how you word it. Their industries are different. The way their programs are different. Some's one-on-one, some's group, some self-paced, some sessions, some is just speaking. But the reality is the problems don't change. So even if you guys want to speak to the problems, you totally can. But here's how we do it. I had a client who struggled with X, and she was actively working doing X, Y, and Z, but she still wasn't seeing a result. So here's what we tweaked. So notice in that piece of content, I talked about, hey, look, there were problems. He's actively working on them. And then I plugged in me. Here's what I changed so they could then see the result that they were looking for. And so people then go, so if I have a problem, I need to start actively working on it. So for the person who's problem aware, they get that as the main message. And for the people who's solution aware, they're like, oh, I'm already actively working on it. So I need to hire him because that's what they did. Right. So it's a little like, it's just content is beautiful. You can really connect people. So yeah, tomorrow, stay tuned because we're gonna blow your minds with some beautiful content stuff. It's gonna be fantastic. So and that will be the 4th day of Go Get It. But it's not sad. It's not sad. It won't be sad. And I'm excited. I'm excited to showcase all of the stuff. And thank you guys so much for staying on a little later and for sharing this beautiful Wednesday evening with me.